So the ongoing situation seems to be paint for minis, mixing it. There seems to be this ongoing issue for people that paint minis to mix their mini bottles of paint. I think I have a solution. Hey, so back for a quick little video here. Now, I've gone through and I've checked out a few videos and stuff online because I was encountering the same kind of problem myself. What happens when you have one of these little bottles? Like over here, I've got a bunch of Vallejo and I've got my Citadel and I've got my war paints, you know, but when it comes to one, say, you haven't used in a long time. So let's try, I don't know, this Ice Storm here. So we can see that there's a separation there, and all the paint is really at the bottom and it needs to be remixed again. So what happens? You sit there and you shake and 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 shake, and it's a pain in the butt, and it still doesn't really get a good mixture, especially with these little guys. You end up dropping a little bit out and all you still get is clear liquid. You don't get any paint. So what do you do? Now, some of the videos I've seen, you'll see people buying these specific little machines they have for actually mixing these things, where it straps down with a little rubber around it and it, you know, just kind of vibrates it, you know, to try and mix the paint. And I thought, okay, well, that looks cool. Maybe that works good. Then I watched a video from Jeremy from Black Magic Craft. Now, if you've never watched this guy, and I don't know if he remembers me, I contributed to his Patreon for quite a while. But, you know, very, very smart, intelligent individual, comes up with amazing ideas, you know, and right away, he always looks for a better solution too. Because when it comes to those little paint mixers, they're quite expensive. They're 100, 200, you know, some of them are really expensive. But then you go and you look at, you know, mixers for nail polish, and they're like $30, $40. So he went and bought one. If you go, you watch his show right now, you know, he's got one up there and he goes over everything, and it's a very smart, great idea. I just didn't feel like buying something. I wanted to try and use, if I had anything lying around somewhere, whether it's in my shop or wherever, that I can use to do this. I thought, you know, maybe I can even get a motor. Take a motor, you know, make a little apparatus so that it can stick to the motor and spin it, right? I was just gonna make something myself, but I came up with a pretty easy solution. For something that I had just kicking around, you know, at home, that I don't really use anymore because I've got newer stuff. But I'll show you one thing first, and that's these guys. So if you've ever checked out Green Stuff World has these beautiful little tubes, right? You know, that have these really awesome rollers inside. And when you look at the rollers, now this is a whole other ball game. Again, you can check out more from Black Magic Craft. He goes over a whole bunch of stuff on these because they sent him a whack load, and he uses them for his little miniature housing and stuff for his D&D campaigns. You know, and they work really, really well. You know, you put it on your foam, roll it out, and it gives you different patterns. This particular one is brick. But I was more interested in this. Right? One thing I noticed about it is that slides in there pretty good. Actually, I could slide two of them in there if I wanted to. But this started giving me an idea. Now, they also talk about one of the other issues they have with the paint, unless you buy the Reaper stuff that has these little agitators inside. Now I have one bottle here actually, and this is actually from Tester, right? This stuff here, and it's just an airbrush paint for like a flesh kind of color, and I don't know if I can get it going. It's stuck in there. There. I don't know if you can hear that. But there's a little agitator in this too, right? To help mix it up. It's basically like a little ball. It's just like a spray paint can. You know, and it gets it all shaken up in there. You know, so one of the problems with these little vibrating tools and stuff is they sit there and they vibrate it, right? But it's just vibrating, you know, but if they put something in there that can bounce around, it then would actually mix the paint up a lot more vigorously. So I looked at it and I said, okay, well, what if I just took the whole, you know, thing and it was vibrating in there, right? You know, put the cap back on. Now, of course, that might just blast the cap right off, right? So, you know, I might come up with some better solutions for this after. But what I did come up with was this old thing. So, all I did is I just took one of my tubes. I took one of my tubes from my rollers, right? And I took an old blade, which I actually took on my grinder, and I took all of the blade off of it, so it's not dangerous, right? But still, it moves really fast, so it probably still hurt you if you know, be careful. And then I just taped this on. So this is a work in progress. But so far, when it comes to mixing paint, that fits in there. I put a little cap on, and then just for a little extra security, just in case, you know, so I don't end up having it come flying out of there, I'll just take a little bit of electrical tape and kind of put it over top, just like that, just to hold the cap from flying off, you know, until I come up with a better solution. So we take our tube, we stick it back in there, lock it in, and you have variable speed with these. So here goes. We're gonna mix. Now, this is pretty crazy. That paint in there is getting slammed around really, really well. You want to agitate something, and that's going to be well agitated. That's probably good enough. So we pop that back off. Pull that out. Oh yeah. So if we take a look at that, I think that looks really well mixed. Let's just see here. I'm not usually one for wasting some paint, but let's just look at that. Well mixed. That is awesome. And how long did that take? That took me, did we count? I'll have to go back, and when I rewatch the video, I'll put a number here. How many seconds, roughly? You know, so when you're in the midst of painting, I know it's kind of cool to be able to kind of set it down and let it go do its thing while you're still painting, right? But for like 30 seconds or whatever long that was, you know, I could actually probably pre-mix 2, 3, 4 of them, you know, before I go to do the painting, and then just give it a quick little shake because it'd be well mixed already anyway. So I think the next step after this point would be probably dismantling this thing. Like, I don't use it anymore. Battery's not bad, and for just doing that, like even if you have an old NiCad battery and it can't handle like a reciprocating saw cutting through a beam or something like that anymore, you know, it might still be fine for mixing paint. or I can find some kind of battery eliminator so I can plug it into the wall. I might actually take the thing apart and maybe build a box for it, have an apparatus that comes up where I can actually bolt it together with multiple tubes, even maybe a smaller little one for Citadel, right? And I did this actually with Citadel the other day, with one that was really, you know, kind of, you know, it'd been sitting for a long time, a color I don't use that often. Let me see here. Oh, look at this one here, okay? Look at this. Look at the big strip of separation in there. Look at that. I haven't used that in a long time. So all I did temporarily for this, actually it's probably drying right out on me, is I just took it, took the tube off, and then just temporarily taped it to the side because I wanted to see how well it would mix, even if it's not banging around inside the tube. So I might not even have to necessarily do that, where it's slamming it around like that. So I just temporarily taped it on, like so. Right, and then just in case, because I don't want paint all over the place, I just tape the lid down like so the lid can't open. Now this was a pretty bad mixture as far as from what I can see, so let's just give this a few seconds. All right. I think that might be it. I'll give it another. Okay, let's try that. So that one was really bad. This might be beyond recovery though, because this one was actually drying out, but I could still see the liquid in there, so I don't know. This would be like a super test for sure. So we're gonna pull all of this back off of here. So this would be a pain if you had to tape this all the time. So I have to come up with another solution, you know, with maybe multiple. Look at that. Oh yeah. You know, so with maybe multiple compartments or something for it. Now when it comes to Vallejo Air, right, they still fit in the tubes. Right, so that's not an issue, right? So probably the same thing when it comes to the Reaper, right? But when it comes to Citadel, they're different, you know. And there are some other different ones out there, but these are the ones I mainly use. So I just need to come up with something else that I can put these in that maybe has a lid on it that clasps down. But let's take a look at this now. Look at that. You know, like that is just unbelievable. It looked like something that was not even it wasn't even recoverable. And I think that looks pretty good. Nice consistency. There's no lumps in it. You know, now you could just go to a hardware store and you could pick up, you know, one of these things for, you know, when they're on sale or something like that for maybe 89 or 69, or you can get the little Milwaukee M12, you know, basic reciprocating saws. I think they're, a lot of times you might see them on sale for 69 bucks, and then just buy a little, or if that's just the bare tool, and then you get a little 1.0 amp M12 battery and charger for probably pretty cheap, right? Because they're a dime a dozen. Everybody's looking for the bigger ones, you know. So, and then you could do the same thing because it's essentially the same system. It's just this is old, right? You don't see too many people using these big honking batteries anymore, right? You know, you see people using all this newer lithium ion, battery packs, much lighter and compact and whatnot, So again, this is one I just had still sitting around, and I thought, hey, you know what? Maybe I could mix paint with that. And lo and behold, that's pretty awesome. So, well mixed. Look at it, right back to normal. Just crazy. So, if you think your paint's almost finished, grab a reciprocating saw. It works really well. Jeremy from Black Magic Craft, if you're watching this, I know that you've done construction or whatever, in the past as your original profession. I'm sure you probably have one of these things somewhere kicking around. Try it out. It's awesome. It really, it's cool. It's really cool. So there's something for you guys. Just a quick little something. I'm going to keep playing around with it, and I might design in my shop something a little bit more practical, and easier to use. Maybe something I can even set on the desk. Maybe I'll just take this thing apart and see if I can redesign it, right? So that it's a little easier just to drop a bottle in. But for now, that was pretty easy too. Just bam, mix it up. I could probably charge one of those batteries and it'd last me forever just mixing paint. Till next time.